What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into our round two live stream. We've got ourselves a Draftkings Showdown preview and, of course, a little early look at the prop boards. Not sure if they're going to be live by the time we're finished. We're going to have about 30 minutes to go live here. Of course, we're on the road, right? A little bit of an expedited schedule, but still going to touch on all the important stuff that you need to know before betting or going out there and playing DFS tomorrow. So welcome down to the chat. If you guys are welcome on in, hopefully you're having a solid start to your DFS week. Today, a lot of that top end chalk ended up busting, or at least not going out there and smashing. So I'm feeling pretty solid about our chances heading into Friday of this week, but it's early, right? The night is early, as many would say out there. So don't want to get too excited about it. On the prop side, I see a lot of you guys there on Twitter that were here on the live stream yesterday ended up smashing. A bunch of you guys hit 3-4 leg cards on underdog. And yesterday, because the board was a little bit better there, right? That's where we focused. And I think that was really a wise decision, especially considering that the weather for round one was conducive to relatively low scores, right? I mean, we had Chad Ramey of all people, right? Shoot 8 under par. Colin Morikawa, right? Sleeper play that is going pretty well to this point, but a bunch of guys, right, that shot 4, 5, even 6 under par. So hats off to all of those dudes. But on the other side, we got the full Players Championship experience, right? We got to see what TPC Sawgrass is really all about with Rory McIlroy, right? Shooting a 76 today. Guys like Aaron Wise made a freaking 11 on hole number 18, right? 7 over par on just one hole there on its own. So pretty crazy course. You're going to see a lot of volatility out there. I mean, Rory today, I didn't play him, right? I'm pretty stoked that he didn't have this, a solid performance, but he didn't deserve to shoot 4 over par. Like, his ball striking was just ever so slightly off. It's just that when you miss around TPC Sawgrass, everything is exaggerated. You're going to sometimes be dropping there for a penalty stroke, getting a whole 1.5 stroke penalty. And sometimes the bounces go your way and you end up hitting it to 2 feet. So saw a lot of frustrated players out there today, but as is the status quo when it comes to the Players Championship. So we got Brady down there, says, what time does it start? Well, we're starting right now. So welcome on in, Brady. We got Frank down there, JT with the hook at 12. Yeah, there were a few props that ended up hooking today. I have to say the nastiest one, at least for me personally, ended up being Sun JM, who got to 3 birdies. I had him over 3.5. If that hits, a card that ended up cashing for right around like $630 would have cashed for 2,500. So for me, I'm a little bit jaded about the Sun JM thing there, but somebody that I faded in full round contests. So if there's going to be one little, glimmer of hope there, it's that at least he didn't go off for that. So we got Frank down there. David, what's going on? Did you happen to see Wise? No, I was already on my way home. I did get to see it on my phone, though. I was watching it in the car. All the Ubers around here, you can tell that this is a golf town. We're watching it on the way there. So I was on the way to the course. My Uber driver was watching it on his center console, and then on the way home, completely different Uber was doing the same thing. So I didn't miss all that much. I got to see that on the car ride home. What's going on, Mark? How was Mezzaluna? I loved it. I got to see Ben Griffin there, who was at Mezzaluna with an absolute smoke show. So, I was a little bit worried about it at first. I was like, he's out, drinking a bunch of wine here on a, Wednesday evening, but he had the late tee time, right? So we looked up the tee times. He's all good to go, right? Well, he's freaking 5 under par at this point. I think the smoke show did good things for his confidence. David says, what do you think the cut line will be? I think 2, maybe even 3 over par. So, we got to get into this, guys. We're already 9. Well, actually, we're not 9 minutes. We're only 4 minutes in. I guess I can calm down here a little bit. We're only going to have exactly a half an hour for this live stream. My screen went black there. Hopefully, we're still good to go. Looks like we are. Essentially, we're only going to have a half an hour for the stream. So we're going to have to make completely, efficient use of our time. My computer is tripping out right now, guys. Hopefully it's not messing up there on your end, but it's like, it just keeps going black. This is the worst timing humanly possible for this to happen. Oh boy. Like I said, guys, we're on the road. We're dealing with what we can here. Let's just hop into it. Matt says, Gsluke, how about Burns today? Yeah, he went off. A few guys went off that we had, like Jordan Spieth even, right? Continuing the heater. Looks like Elk really spoke to somebody close to Vegas. He might have. Yeah, you're right. He might have had that information, but he also might have just had a bad round, right? So until he withdraws and gives us that solid information that it was the elbow, I don't know how much I'm going to believe on that. Moisley says, do you think Xander can have a big round? Let's see. I mean, let's look at the shots gained. I mean, I saw him playing today. He was absolutely piss poor, typically early in his round. I mean, he was 4 over par through like his first 6 holes. So like, I don't know. I don't think the outlook on Xander's game is really looking all that good right now, but let's take a look at the stats. Well, he ended up even par, so obviously brought it back a little bit. I watched a majority of his back nine, which, of course, especially towards the beginning when he made 3 or 4 birdies, was nice. But yeah, he gained 2 strokes around the green. I can't get there, right? A lot of the rebounds was him going up there, chipping it to 2, 3 feet, tapping in for birdie. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't really get me there moistly, so I'm not counting on it. Who do you think will be leading at the end of round 2? All right, I guess we'll talk about the weather, right? I think it's going to be somebody that plays early this morning. So a lot of those top end performances like Chad Ramey, Morikawa, Pendrith, Scotty Scheffler, most of the guys at like 3, 4 under par, right, played in the morning wave, which played significantly easier than the afternoon. So if we split this by wave, you can see it was about a 0.8 shot difference, which is to be expected, right? The winds were going to be a little bit higher in the afternoon, at least from the sustained perspective. And then you have the firm and fast greens that are only going to dry out as the day goes on. And tomorrow, not to get too far ahead of myself right here, that's going to be even more so the case. So, if you're asking for somebody leading after round 2, I think it's going to be a chaser. Maybe it's Justin Suh, right? Justin Suh right now has an eagle putt on hole number 16. So he could go from -5 to -7. This computer keeps going black on me. This is brutal, boys. I'm sorry about it. The technical issues are on one here today. But either way, he's at -5, could easily get to -7. Maybe a guy to keep an eye on there. Go ahead and let me know down chat. Every time that I say that it's going black on my end, is it going black on your end too? Would love that feedback there, because if not, and it's completely normal, I'll just continue talking through it. It's not that distracting. I just want to make sure it's not all that distracting to you guys out there. All right, in terms of the golf course, guys, like I said, it played difficult today. It actually played a little bit harder than what we saw there last year, which included days with horrible weather. So a lot of that was due to the length of the rough, right? We talked extensively about how the rough was going to be a little bit longer this time around. And then, of course, how firm the greens are. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. This computer is really, really driving me nuts, guys. It is going black. Oh, my God. It keeps doing it every 2 seconds for me. This is honestly like unbearable. Guys, if it's going to continue to do this, I don't know if we're going to do this live stream. We're going to try and power through it, see if it stops anytime soon. Either way, like I said, it played a little bit more difficult this year. That's only going to be more so the case tomorrow. Oh, my goodness. Guys, this is driving me nuts. Oh, my goodness. Like, it's never done this before. That's why it's driving me so nuts. Sorry about it. All right, let's just power through it. All right, on Friday, guys, you have higher winds in the afternoon, which, of course, are going to make conditions more difficult. But what I'm more worried about is the precipitation factor. Every wind source, every weather source around Ponte Vedra, especially yesterday, was calling for severe thunderstorms, something like 60 to 80% chance of thunderstorms. And that was from like 4 p.m. onwards. Today, it's gotten a little bit better in terms of the outlook. It's closer to like 40 to 60% during that same range. A few sources, though, have changed them from thunderstorms to just rain showers. So there's a little bit of a mixed bag when it comes to these forecasts. Some of them are calling for definitely a stoppage of play tomorrow afternoon, and some of them are, calling for no thunderstorms, right? Just precipitation, which means that they might have to play through it. So there's a lot of unknowns when it comes to the weather tomorrow. But the one thing we do know is that the winds are going to be higher, right? So until they suspend play, if they're going to do so, they're going to be playing in harder conditions there for the afternoon wave. And on top of that, right, if they have to play through it, if it's not going to be thunderstorms that end up coming through the area, then you're looking at an absolute carnage fest, right? So, going into the week, we talked about how the PM AM stack, right, might be advantageous. And it's looking like, unless there's a stoppage of play tomorrow, then that's probably going to come to fruition. So, in terms of playing DFS, in terms of Showdown, right, I am only playing AM, guys. Now, we might get that stoppage of play. They might end up bleeding into Saturday. But even if they do so, right, these guys are going to have played, let's say, 6 to 9 holes at that point. The thunderstorms aren't supposed to roll through until like 3:30, 4 p.m. Eastern time. So it's still going to be at least like a half a stroke to a stroke difference. It's just that, selfishly, I kind of hope they have to play their entire round tomorrow, or at least like 3/4 of it. Because again, they had the freaking suspended round today, right? So they couldn't even get the round done with perfect weather. So they're definitely not going to finish tomorrow, especially with these thunderstorms supposed to come through. So for DFS, I think we should look at the wind, try and play it there. You know, you can see in Willy weather, they're calling for the same thing, right? 9 to 10 miles an hour wind in the morning, and then by the afternoon, getting closer to 15 miles an hour. So it's your typical wind split that you see here on the PGA Tour, right? Typically, the morning wave has slightly better conditions than the afternoon. So nothing too out of the ordinary. In terms of your pins and the fingers crossed, guys, it's not going black. We've got pretty tucked pins. I mean, I thought they might try and take it easy because of the forecast. I mean, they are calling for much more significant winds, both from sustained and the wind gust perspective there tomorrow. And they're calling for potential rain showers, but you can see almost every single pin is tucked, right? 4 or 5 paces from the side. Even the par 5s look a little bit difficult there tomorrow. So they're definitely not taking things easy on these players. I'm expecting a scoring average of at least a stroke over par tomorrow, if not closer to maybe a stroke and a half, if they indeed end up having to play through some rain showers. So in terms of your cut, I know I had the question there before. You can see that Data Golf has it closer to even or maybe +1. I think it's going to be +1 or +2. I think that rain really is going to have a lot to say when it comes to that cut line. And of course, whether there's going to be a suspension of play. Let's go ahead, stop sharing our screen. And I have to say, the fact that, world numbers 1 through 3 are going to be playing during that wave makes me think that the PGA Tour might try and take it easy on these guys, right? Might try and suspend play if at all humanly possible, because we know that they don't want Rory, Scotty, and John Rahm missing the cut. I mean, that would just be atrocious for their ratings. Let's see what we've got. Nick says you still want to be Luke when you get up. When you grow up, you're saying, oh boy, Nick, I love when you say that. It cracks me up. But hey, you got to have better technology than me on the road. This is becoming a shit show out here. Spieth, let's go, Chandler, right? Hey, cheers to Jordan Spieth. And once again, guys, I've gone, 12 minutes into the stream, and I don't even remember I have a drink next to me. Got a little rum and Coke going, and we've got the souvenir glass going from there. You can see it's the Sawgrass Splash. That's a signature drink that they do. And this is a metal cup. So not only does it keep the drink extremely cold, it nearly gives you frostbite when you're out there on the golf course. Burns second round leader. Oh, I could see that, right? Especially because he's going off early. Ramey gained 6 strokes putting. Yeah, that is not going to happen. Okay, so you're saying it's acting up on your end too. Yeah, I'd imagine it have to, right? Because my computer's like dying and then coming back right away. Would you consider 5 a.m. players to 1 p.m. player? Yeah, you could. So if you really like somebody playing in the PM wave, I don't think you have to avoid them at all costs. Now, just in terms of my personal player pool, I can tell you I'm literally only playing AM guys. So maybe that's taking it too far, but when I see an edge, I'm going to try and take advantage and exploit it. So that's what I'm going with. But if you really like somebody there in the PM wave, go for it. If Luke's at the tournament, 100% chance of rain. That is true. I am the curse of all curses when it comes to weather. The screen is cleared up. Fingers crossed, guys. And need to sneak this in. Perfect place for you and your buddies, Valley Smoke. I've heard that too, actually. So a few guys in the Discord were letting me know about Valley Smoke, saying that Cam Smith goes there all the time. I might have to check it out for sure. You haven't missed yet, I have to say that, Mark. And tonight we're going to actually a Brazilian steakhouse. So it's going to be pretty straightforward meal. Know what to expect from it, but I got to get going here so I can get there because they close at 9, right? So I want to get my full money's worth there. So let's talk through this DraftKings board, and it's actually a little bit more straightforward here for round 2 just because of the weather, right? I'm only going to play AM guys, so it takes half the player pool and literally removes them from contention for me. How I'm trying to decide within the AM guys, I should say, who I'm going to play is ownership, right? And as is the case with pretty much any showdown round, it's always going to come down to, the score from the day prior, right? People love tailing guys that had a solid day, right? Shot 4 or 5 under par. So Chad Ramey, right, going to be much higher owned than he should be, but pretty much anybody between 2 and let's say that 5 under par range is going to be your quote unquote chalk, right? Especially like a Justin Saw, Ben Griffin, right, who are there at 5 under par and play in the morning wave because people aren't stupid, right? They watch content. There's enough people that watch my content alone, right, where you would see a huge impact in ownership just based on the AM versus PM wave. But there are a lot of other shows out there, very talented people, right, doing the same kind of thing. They're also not stupid. They know to go out there and attack a weather edge when they see one. So you are going to see these guys in the AM wave maybe a little bit higher owned than their PM counterparts. So if you want to take a calculated gamble, and I almost don't even want to say this because you could do this. I'm not going to do this myself. You could just say, I'm going to play all PM guys, right? I'm just going to say screw the other people, or maybe even hope that there's some sort of suspension in play that happens way earlier than we expect. So maybe like 1 p.m., something like that, so that like the entire second round, right, happens there on Saturday. Then maybe you end up catching the right side of it. But personally, I'm going to be sticking to the AM guys, especially because like John Rahm, Rory, Scotty Scheffler, your top 3 players on the field, also 3 of the chalkiest guys, they're all going to be in the quote unquote bad wave. So, if I saw guys in the PM wave that I really wanted to get to, I guess I wouldn't be that shy about doing so, but just I have enough guys in the AM wave that I really like tomorrow that I don't need to force that in. Some of those would include a Max Homa. I like JT for the bounce back with the flat stick. He 3-putt 4 times today. That's just not going to happen again. Victor Hovland seems to love the golf course. Xander Schauffele, started rough, right? Like I said, his outlook for round 2, like I wouldn't be counting on him to have a really good round, but would it surprise you, right, for him to come back and just completely throw all that to the side and have a good round? No, it wouldn't, right? So he's also only coming in 8.8% owned. So he's the leverage play of all leverage plays up top. And compared to his 4-round main slate price, right, he was $10,000 for the main slate. You're getting an absolute steal there. In the 8K range, there's a lot of guys that are just chalky, especially for the guys in the morning. So I'm really only playing a Bulls Outdoors. You can see I also have a Cam Young, also a not Tom Kim, sorry, a Matt Fitzpatrick there, also playing in the morning wave. But, Jordan Spieth, Jason Day, that are going to be getting a decent amount of ownership. I don't know if I'm really going to be forcing them into lineups as much. You can see I'm going to have a little bit of Jordan Spieth, but he's still getting a little bit of ownership, a lot more than he was for 4-round contests. So I'm not going to have nearly the 35-40% that I had for those. I'm more just going to take 20, maybe 25%, right? Just go to the normal leverage level because I don't know, Jordan Spieth, whenever he has a really good round, people like rallying behind him, right? He's somebody that's easy to root for, very, common, very popular name out there. So I think that this 12.2% number in terms of the ownership might even be a little bit conservative. Down here in the 7K range, just try and take the pivots that are playing early. Shane Lowry, Sahith Theegala. Sahith, right, getting a little bit of steam, but not enough to keep me off of him. I do like a Chris Kirk. He rebounded nicely for his last 9 holes. Seamus Power, right, shot 1 over par. He could easily bounce back early. Tom Hoagie. Oh, we got to talk about Tom Hoagie. That man shot +5 today and had 5 birdies on his round. Shout out to Nick Mars for going ahead and pointing that out to me. But that is surprising and hard to do. That's for damn sure. So clearly the iron play was at least half decent for him to go out there and make those 5 birdies. Actually, he shot +6. So I guess he made a bogey there towards the end of his round. He's going to need a big day to make the cut. So hopefully he has that for us. They've got Maverick McNeely. I'm playing him. You can get to guys like Thomas Dietrich. He's going to be relatively low owned. Kurt Kitayama, right, last week's winner after his sluggish start, only a +1 round. He's not going to be getting that much attention. Guys like Lucas Herbert, he shot +10 today, right? So no one wants to play him there tomorrow. Well, I can tell you what, just like Bill Gordon last week there on Sunday, these guys play for pride, if anything. So, Lucas Herbert, he's going to be looking to go out there, shoot something in the mid-60s out there tomorrow morning. Hopefully I can be a part of that. I didn't play him for 4-round contests, so even if he misses the cut, that's just okay. We have David Lipsky will play. I'm also considering guys like a Scott Stallings. He had a good round today. Alex Noren goes off early. Like I said, it's a straightforward slate. And again, we got to go through this quickly because I do have that dinner reservation, but you get the idea. I'm really just sticking to the AM wave and guys that are low owned. Now, to give you maybe a few guys I'm fading from the AM wave, right? It'd be the guys like they're way out there in terms of score. Now, a lot of them are in the PM wave, right? Because like I said, the morning wave played easier today. But like Ben Griffin, right? We're not going to be playing him, right? We're not going to be getting to guys like a Justin Suh, right? That could potentially even be -7 by the time the second round actually begins. And rather focusing on high upside players down low, perhaps like an Andrew Putnam, perhaps like a Sepp Straka, that have the same kind of talent level, same kind of upside, but maybe a fraction in the ownership, right? 4 or 5 times less ownership. It's worth noting that Andrew Putnam today hit the worst golf shot that I've ever seen in my entire life, at least from a professional. On hole number 15, he hit a drive that went 60 yards sideways. And in fact, I didn't see him actually hit the drive. I was walking from hole number 11 to actually leave for the day. And walked into Andrew Putnam. He was sitting there with his caddy, not next to a hole. And literally, when I say I don't know what hole he teed off of, or at least at first, I didn't know, because he was in between like 5 holes and at most like 60 yards from every tee box. So, I'm trying to do the math there. Like, how did he even get to this spot? I asked someone next to me and he said he shanked one sideways with a driver, which, sometimes you end up having a heel hook or something, you hit it off the hosel or something like that with an iron. You can't really hosel it with the driver. So I don't know how he hit it over there. He ended up saving bogey on the hole. So hats off to him. That was good for him, is all I'm gonna say there, is I didn't expect him to make a bogey from that position. Let's catch up on chat, and then we'll hop into some of these fringe lower tier options. Where are we at? Boom, I got you, Mark. Yeah, you're the clutch man when it comes to these you know, dinner reservations, these dinner recommendations. I gotta love it. Nick says you'd be blaming the cats if you were home. There's a lobster buffet in Orlando. Yeah, I would be. My cats, they cause a lot of technical issues when I'm at home, but here it's just the shitty laptop. That's for damn sure. Moisley says you think Pendrith has been working with Richard Richard Long on the range. Okay, what's going on, Breakfast Ball? I know you're gonna be there on Saturday. You got to come say hi. Come on. Clay says, are you going to target guys who need to play aggressive? Yes, I am. So like Lucas Herbert, great example. Tom Hoagie, right, has to go out there and post a low score. There's a bunch of guys, right, that shot like, I mean, even Aaron Wise. Like Aaron Wise didn't have a bad round until hole number 18. He's got to shoot like 6 in their par to make the cut. So yeah, I do like those kind of players, Clay. It's their mentality, right, is going to match up with our mentality. We want players to just go nuclear, make as many birdies as humanly possible, and that's exactly what they want to do too. The fact you played 80% PM, AM, and week long, would you avoid playing those same guys in Showdown? So I see what you're saying. I don't know, Nick. I don't usually play like that, if I'm going to be honest with you. I typically try and spread it out a little bit. I try and actually, I shouldn't say that. So like, actually, that's the complete opposite of what I meant to say. I don't try to spread it out, right? I don't try to self-hedge per se, right? I play every single slate independently. Now, that's all down to preference, right? If you'd prefer to go out there and kind of be able to self-hedge, right? Kind of treat the slates as a whole rather than taking them individually, then go ahead and do so, right? I'm not going to try and talk you off of that. Personally, that's not how I handle a slate. So I'll just say that I think that it might be negative EV if you're going out there and trying to play it that way. But from the enjoyment perspective, right, it might make your week a little bit better. And hey, if you end up spiking the contest tomorrow, then obviously it was plus EV. So I don't know. You could do that, Nick. It's not something I typically do. Valley Smoke, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow night. Valley Smoke's going to be tomorrow night. I had to move that breakfast. Chandler says, any chance Gim shoots -6 and makes the cut? I doubt it. I actually almost played Gim this week. He was going to be one of like my last value plays in, and all of it was course history, right? I'm assuming that's why you played him there, Chandler, is the course history was exceptional, but it's still Doug Gim, right? And I just couldn't get there, and I'm glad it didn't. You wish Scott Stallings would play faster. He always seems to be holding up play. I'll have to look out for that. I haven't noticed that, but could very well be the case. That's for sure. Nick says the PGA has become a place. Wow, can't even speak right now. Pace of play problem. Yeah, it's every single week. They can't finish a round, and it hasn't been like that in the past. Who knows? Jeffrey says unfinished rounds. Like, what the heck? That's for damn sure. It's annoying because it impacts the players. They have to wake up earlier to account for that. It impacts betting, it impacts fans, it impacts just TV quality, right? Being able to actually watch the event. It's a shit show. They got to get that figured out, whether it's smaller fields or whether it's actually enforcing pace of play, right? Yeah, Matt says Putnam actually ending up saving par, but he saved. No way. There's no way, Matt. I have to look this up now because there's no way that he did from there. I can't. How did he make par? He had no shot back in the. He what? He did. You're not capping. How did he? So he hit it out in the fairway. I saw that. I saw him do that, and then he hit an absolute dart. Okay, good for you, Andrew Putnam. That is unbelievable. I definitely should have stayed to see the putt that he made. That is crazy. McIlroy always needs time to heat up. That is true. I honestly, if it weren't for the weather, I would definitely be playing him there tomorrow. Johnny Vegas cost you thousands today. Didn't cost me thousands. If you're putting thousands of dollars on Johnny Vegas, you're insane. Your boy Svenny continues to play an elite level. Yeah, Svenny's pretty sweet, but dude, if you're putting thousands of dollars on Johnny Vegas in any sort of lineup, if you're putting a bet on him like that, like you got to reevaluate the process, my man. You shouldn't be putting bets on guys that are in the 6K range like that. Scott Stallings, I see what you did there, Moistly. I don't know if he's actually slow or you're just making that pun there, but if he's actually slow, I'll keep an eye out for it. Ben Griffin's smoke show is gonna have to get up earlier tomorrow now. Yep. He's gotta get Ben Griffin in gear, if you know what I'm talking about. Gabe says the prize picks hold props got you back in the game today. Yep, absolutely. How's the board looking? I actually haven't looked yet, Gabe. I don't know if it's up yet. Speaking of, we're gonna get there in like 5 minutes. Start talking about that. Aaron Wise's absolute shutdown on 18 made you $400. Love to see it. I played him in 5% of my DFS lineups. So like, what is that? $35 of lineups that ended up getting trashed, whatever, right? If I ended up having $35 of lineups that sucked this week because of that hole, but you made $400, I'll take the trade off, Jaden. You're welcome there. No, he cost you from winning. That makes sense. I was like, if you put like a couple $1,000 bet on Johnny Vegas, considering that he like might have been injured, you're insane. But yeah, in terms of showdown, that's more excusable. I got you. Advantage for Suh. I honestly think he might end up being your second round leader. Yep. You joined the Patreon and already made profit. Love you, Gabe. Today, I actually went slightly negative on props, I have to say. On Underdog, I ended up making $135. On Prize Picks, I lost $250. So you can do the math there, right? $115 loss, but we can live with that. Starting with your player pool with JT, yeah, a lot of my lineups are going to start with JT, but mostly like Max Homa, right? I'm going to have a bunch that start with Homa and a JT. Maybe it's Max Homa plus like a Hovland and Xander Schauffele. There's going to be a bunch of different combinations up top. So it's not just going to be JT that I'm starting lineups with, but I'll definitely will have lineups that he's my most expensive player. We'll take a look at the weather for you real quick, and we're going to hop into props, guys. Again, we don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to transition that direction here soon. Weather looks interesting. Winds definitely kicking up in the afternoon, but there's a thunderstorm warning. So, take this with a grain of salt. There's a really good chance that play ends up getting suspended sometime in the afternoon tomorrow due to lightning. So, I don't know. For the guys that are going to have to play in the afternoon, whether it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours of play, it's going to be significantly more difficult than the morning wave. But it's hard to say how much of the round that they finish, right? There's going to be at least some of it that they have to finish on Saturday. I mean, of course, right? They didn't finish play today and weather was perfect. And the weather on Saturday, I have to say, right, it looks slightly worse in the morning than it does for the morning wave tomorrow, at least from the sustained wind perspective. So the guys that are going to have to finish there on Saturday, I don't know how much of a break that they would really get if play gets suspended. But if they have to play through the rain tomorrow, I do have to say this too, Ali. There are a few sites that are calling for it to be just rather than thunderstorms, just being like a rain shower, that sort of thing. If that happens, it's actually worse for the PM wave, right? If they have to play through rain and wind, they're screwed. So it'll be an interesting one for the wind perspective. Let's take a look at the prop board. Do they even have it up yet? They do not on Prize Picks. Let's see if they have it up on Underdog. I'm hoping they do. They do. Cool. Look at that. So we do have a prop board up we can look at. So we'll do that here in a second. Where are we at? Do you think there's an advantage for Suh to finish the 3 holes early? I don't know. I think he's going to have very similar conditions to what he had in the afternoon. The winds are going to be a little bit higher, but he'll have softer greens. Daniel says Fino has got to be one of the worst putters on Bermuda. That is true. Historically, he was actually pretty decent on Bermuda, but of late, I definitely agree. Picking exact, I have no idea what you're saying. I'm assuming. Oh, I see what you're doing there. Funny. Breakfast says had almost an $800 day. Amazing for you since you were cashing $40 2 weeks ago. Like I said, right? You guys were smashing more than I was. I ended up going like 4 for 5 on all my long cards, which like doubles you up, right? That's why I ended up having like an okay day when it came to it. But you guys going out there and smashing, you'd love to see it. How do you know what players are aggressive? Birdie or better percentage, Jeffrey? If you look at a player's birdie rate, that's usually the easiest way to look at it. But also bogey rate, right? Players with higher bogey rates are typically more aggressive too. If you're looking for conservative players, the opposite of that, right? If you're not looking at birdies and bogeys, it's par rate, right? And if you're looking at some of the top par rate players, that's Sungjae Im, That's Matt Fitzpatrick, extremely conservative type players. And even Tiger Woods, believe it or not, right, is one of those extremely high par percentage players. And he notoriously, right, is extremely conservative with his targets. So a lot of it's mindset. And usually the best way to look at that, Jeffrey, is to look at either birdie or better percentage or your par stats. Sam Burns at $7,400. Yeah, he went off this week. Hopefully that continues, man. He's still got 3 rounds to go, though. Breakfast says JT had like 4 3-putts. That's not happening. Hey, I think I said the exact same quote earlier there, Breakfast Ball. So we're on the same brain wavelength right now, I should say. So's only got 30 feet for Eagle. Yep, that's for sure. Enjoy your Brazilian wax. You mean my steakhouse tonight? Enjoy, Nick. Enjoy your night. Chandler says, any chance with Morikawa in the PM that he could still be optimal? He could be, but I don't know. He shot -7, right? He's going to have the tougher conditions. I'm not counting on it, but there are going to be people that play him. That's for damn sure. Of course, Jeffrey, I got you. Jaden says, Homo was terrible today with the flat stick, but with his consistency, I like it. Yeah, I do too. I think he's going to bounce back. And how do you find birdie or better percentage stats? So if you Google just birdie or better percentage PGA Tour, it should just come up. If not, go on the PGA Tour website, hit stats, go to scoring, and then there will be one of the tabs says birdie or better percentage. You can look at that. You can look at birdie average, right? It's almost the same stat, right? You can take a look at that. There's a bunch of different things on there. So if you click that stats tab, you're going to have the whole mecca of stats come up. So feel free to look at that. What's going on, Randy? Welcome from Thailand. What's going on? Cebu is your only hope unless the guys get the top, get struck by lightning. Do count on that. Honestly, like Chad Ramey, he's not going to stay up there. The guys at like 4 or 5 under par, it's doubtful they have that kind of day again. So Randy, don't count yourself out yet. It's going to be a long weekend. You owe me dinner and a round of golf. If you ever come to Alabama, I will take you up on that. I'm always for golf and dinner. That's for damn sure. And take it easy, Chandler. Hopefully you have a great night there too. Let's take a look at this too. So let's look at the PGA stats. And on Underdog, again, this is my first reaction to it. They have guys at 3 birdies. This might be overreaction central on Shane Lowry, right? Like, am I wrong here? AMT time, Maverick McNeely. Am I wrong here for just wanting to slam in these guys? Like, I don't think I am. Like, even Maverick, he's hurt, right? So he has the clavicle injury that he had to withdraw from Pebble Beach, right? We thought it was a case of pussyitis, but he indeed does have a clavicle injury. I don't know. Maybe we just take these 2 guys, right? Is there anyone else at 3? Doesn't look like it. Oh, Chris Kirk. Yep, count me in. Another morning tee time. Tommy Fleetwood's a PM tee time, so that's my only issue there. But even so, 3 birdies in the PM wave is more than doable, especially for guys of this quality. Tom Kim's PM wave, right? Like, imagine if play gets suspended, right? Like, we might be talking about these guys having pretty solid conditions on Saturday morning. Interesting, is what I'm going to say. And these guys, obviously, these are sorted by tee time, so these guys are all PM wave down here. Let's go ahead and just let's max bet that real quick. Because in the AM wave, guys, if you guys weren't here before, it ain't that bad. The sustained winds aren't that high. The storms aren't really coming until the afternoon. And like, look over here in Willy weather, right? Like 9-10 miles an hour, especially early in the morning. Like, I know pins are kind of tough, right? We looked at the pins before, but the birdie or better average today was nearly 3.9 birdies. Most elite tier players, right, are making 4, 5, even 6 birdies out there. So to be able to get Lowry, McNeely, and Kirk, who are definitely better than average players in this field, going off early in decent conditions, that feels like an absolute smash card right there. So let me go ahead and add them back. Or did they take them off already? They took them off the board as we were live on here. Actually, no, they didn't. I'm tripping. There we go. So there's a Kirky. Let's add these other 2 back. Shane Lowry, and McNeely. So honestly, these 3 props, like, I don't even know if I'm going to add anything else, guys. Like, these 3 are ridiculously free. And this is as good a prop as you're going to find when it comes to golf. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the board, right? We'll do our due diligence. We'll go over questions too. 73.5 strokes, like, even that, Like, I'd rather take the free birdies line. That's for damn sure. But even like that seems a little bit high. What I was going to get at there. Yeah, I don't know. After having these guys at 3, like you almost don't want to bet anything else. Like 4 birdies for some of the elite tier guys, that seems fair. 3.5 for Young. Like, honestly, I don't hate the over there. Oh, they just took these off. Doesn't surprise me given all the people here in the live stream. But like 3.5 for Burns, even I'd consider taking that. I mean, I'd go right back to Sahith. He's at 3.5 birdies once again. We took them today, right? They smashed it, that prop. Keegan Bradley's another AMT time. You could take him at 3.5 birdies. In fact, let's just go ahead and create another one on here. So if you guys weren't able to get that one, sorry, let me make sure I'm clicking the right props here. And honestly, I'm going to enter this one too. So let's find some of the more aggressive players at 3.5 birdies and guys that need to make birdies to make the cut, right? That's another thing that I'm looking for with this year. Is that 5? Yeah, let's do that. And we're gonna definitely insure this one, okay? Okay, so that first card we did when we had the guys at 3, definitely my favorite out of the 2. Obviously because we get the push in our back pocket there, but 3.5 birdies for guys that have been elite at this golf course or just elite in general, especially going off in the early morning, like all 5 of these players are, is a steal. I think that they should have the most. I mean, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, like these elite tier guys could even be at 4.5 birdies. Now, I don't think I'm going to force it in because getting to 5 birdies is a completely different task than getting to 4. But like a JT over, like I know Spieth, right? I talked about how he can be a little bit inconsistent, but like if I had to force in bets on some of these other players, like it would still be overs on their birdies or better. Like guys there like 4. And see if Prize Picks has anything up. They do not. Looks like they're taking their grand old time there. All right, let's go ahead and look at chat. If not, guys, we're going to hop on out of here kind of soon because I got to get to dinner. Where are we at? Not sure if you're overstepping or not, but on Rick Run Good, they have those too. They do. Yep, and they have them for the props on there. So definitely feel free to check those out. Good call there, Chase. Definitely not overstepping. If it's a free tool that everyone can use, I'm all for it, man. Gus says, Rory missed Cuddleroy. I hope so. I hope so, Gust. Keegan and Homa or Hovland and Spieth? I'd go with the second combo, but that's tough. I like both of them, David. Every week, a problem with a top made cut. This time, it's Rory. Yeah, that's always going to be the case. Hey, at this golf course, it's kind of to be expected. It's one of the more volatile tracks out there. You're happy you locked it, that's for sure. Jason Day goes over birdies every single week. It's absurd that he never gets raised. That's true. And isn't he 3.5 birdies? Like, just like, the Will Zalatoris I just went over, guys, you could take him there too, for sure. I think that's a pretty solid bet. All right, guys, I got to get to dinner. We're going to go ahead and cut off the stream there, but I appreciate everybody stopping by as per usual. Hit that like button on the way out. Goes a long way with helping grow the channel and shows your appreciation here. So go ahead, click that on your way out of here, but also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll be doing the same thing for rounds 3 and 4. If you're looking for access to all of the props I'm taking, all of the write-ups that I'll do here for round 2, make sure to check out the Patreon. On there, of course, you get access to the spreadsheet that I posted the entire time there for Showdown. You get access to all of the cards that I'm entering there for Prize Picks and Underdog, and everything throughout the weekend too. So make sure to check that out if you haven't already. But until next time, guys, best of luck with those slips. Best of luck with all of those DFS lineups that you're getting to. And